streets. The president has said if it's legal, right? If there is a legal pathway to do that, he's not sure. We are not sure if there is. It's an idea that he has simply floated and has discussed very publicly as in the effort of transparency.
What could go wrong? What could possibly in the scenario go wrong with that? Because this ain't good. I don't like this idea, and maybe we should not be too afraid, but let's listen. Responding to a question at Tuesday's Daily Briefing, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt mentioned President Donald Trump's idea of potentially deport violent and heinous U.S. citizens, aiding a seemingly important caveat: if it's legal. It's not. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. Indeed, Justice Sonia Sotomayor warned just a day earlier of that possibility. Dissenting from the Supreme Court's decision to grant emergency relief to the government in case about deportations, Sotomayor wrote that the implications of the Trump administration's legal stance is that not only non-citizens, but also U.S. citizens could be taken off the streets, forced onto planes, and confined to foreign prisons with no opportunity for a redress if judicial review is denied unlawfully before removal. The possibility also lurks in another appeal pending before the justices. In the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was erroneously deported to El Salvador. Despite conceding an administrative error in sending him to that country, the government has resisted remedying the error. Supporting his return, constitutional scholars wrote to the High Court that if the government's position were correct, then the executive branch would possess a shuddering degree of power that the president could wield in extreme and extraordinary ways, including against American citizens that the president simply disfavors. Leavitt's comments thus reinforce the importance of the court's forthcoming decision in Garcia's case, whose consequences could inform just how far this administration will go. In February, we saw ICE go after violent criminals, not only in sanctuary cities like Chicago, but New York City, all across the board. What did we hear from the border czar? That he wanted to expand the list further to nonviolent criminals. Now, here's the thing. The Biden-Harris administration did say, hey, please come. You know, you have a lot of migrants coming to sanctuary cities, and in turn, this idea of a false promise that everything's going to be all right and all okay. And now, what else did we see? We have also seen how protesters or people with green cards or visas getting rounded up or getting arrested. I am not a fan of that. I don't like that because I'm very afraid about the future of free speech in this country. And if you start going after certain groups, I did hint at the warning of, okay, well, what happens? What happens when it's automatically expanded to us as citizens, us as people, us as individuals? I want to pull up this video here from Jimmy Dore. I'm kind of concerned about this. Maybe it's an overreaction. Maybe it's a knee-jerk reaction. But I think it's an appropriate one. Sorry about that.
Can I see some faces here? How do I know this is the police? Seems like bullshit to me. Certainly looks like it.
So this is the first step, and this is a test. So now if we allow it to happen to people who are here legally, people who are college students here legally, who are legal residents, have all the protections of the Constitution, if we allow it to happen to them, next is you. That's how this works. And that's how free speech works. Free speech isn't for the speech you like, and it isn't for the people you like. Free speech is for the speech that you hate of the people you despise. And you can despise that girl. You can despise Palestinians, all you want. But if you're for free speech, you have to be for their free speech, or else you're not for free speech and you're actually a fascist. That's not overusing the term fascism. That's me letting you know what you're for. You're for the government breaking the Constitution and violating someone's freedom, liberty that is God-given because of another country.
Political Police, Commissariat Hans and Deputy Fritz. Now, do I see this happening anytime soon? Well, I mean, if they're floating the idea, here's the thing. when Trump makes a joke, it's like, ha, ha, ha. But how serious are you with that joke? What do we need to be afraid of? Just how far will you go? That's the question that needs to be asked. How far will you go? What is the point of no return? And it's important for us to be aware of this, because when you have the idea of floating the idea, especially, and again, these could be dangerous U.S. criminals. Okay, fine. We're doing a little caveat. First, there's the violent illegal immigrants. Then there's the non-violent illegal immigrants. Then you have protesters who have green cards or here on visa, right? Then you have violent U.S. criminals, or is it violent illegal immigrants in U.S. prisons? All right, that's 8. And I should save at the end, violent U.S. criminals. Okay, well, those violent U.S. criminals or non-violent U.S. criminals. They are still, citizens of the United States. They still have rights, and putting them in El Salvador. And then what comes next? What? Protesters, activists, people with dissenting opinions. I mean, what is the limit? What is the limit of no return? What is the point of no return? How far do we go? That's what's keeping me up.
SWAT team took your neighbor today. Watch them as they walked him away. You told yourself extremists come in all different shapes. Met his eyes and lowered your gaze. Is it too late for us to ever change? We are collecting the dust of better days. They're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to be safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Sheriff stopped your daughter today. Pepper sprayed her twice in the face. He must have had good reason if he'd treat her that way. At least that's what they've taught you to say. But is it too late for us to ever change? Once we're collecting the dust of better days, they're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to feel safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Feds arrived and had you detained. Said you'd made some posts they unchanged. Tased you till you felt like you'd forgotten your name, or life before they had you contained. before they had you contained. SWAT team took your neighbor today.